Hey guys, today's story is about a not-so-great substitute GM. I'm sorry, but this post isn't short. Firstly, I'll start off with a little bit of background. I am a mental health professional, and I work largely with people on the spectrum. This event in no way characterizes even a small minority of people on the spectrum, and should not be treated as such. This is about 4 players who happen to be on the autism spectrum in varying ways. I run a weekly D&D session for these players at their local day center, and to add to this, I'm not linked to them professionally. I do this in my free time. My work background merely helps me in catering to their needs. These players have what is sometimes referred to as a special interest in D&D. They all live together in a 24-hour operated secure care home, and game night is one of the rare nights they get to come and enjoy their special interest. The game I run for them is highly specialized to suit what they want from the game. They don't see D&D as a story that needs to be resolved. They see it as a puzzle to be solved. They aren't interested in lore, characters, backstories, heroes, or villains. It's a pure mathematical exercise for them. I lay out a puzzle dungeon, and they get to move their pieces. I move mine, they attack, I attack, and we do the math. If they win, they get points, gold, to spend on better weapons, armor, and potions. Many game rules are simplified or taken out altogether. If you ask them to describe a goblin, they would say 7 HP, 15 AC, 1d6 plus 2 damage. And if you ask them what you would call a small, green-skinned, big-eared humanoid wielding a short sword, they would probably have no idea. To them, D&D is basically just chess with dice. The rules are consistent, inflexible, and logical, and they absolutely love it. Honestly, the joy of these guys doing the thing that they love is really something to cherish. However, one week I wasn't able to come to game night due to a work commitment. A person who works at the day center, and therefore should know these players far better than I, as he sees them every day, offered to fill in for me. I left him all the game notes, boards, and dice for that game at the center, and he said he had DM'd before, and would have no trouble running a game for them. I reiterated to him the importance of simply following the session that I had laid out for that game. So it should have been fine, right? Oh, how very wrong I was. In his infinite wisdom, he apparently decided that, "This isn't real D&D. I'll give them real D&D." This is an exact quote, according to one of the carers of the players. He firstly tried to get them to write backstories for their characters. They don't do this. They just refer to their character as my person, my piece, or simply their own name. And this alone was enough to induce anxiety in some of them. He then proceeded to add flavor to the cave scenario by rattling off a random plot hook. One of the players asked, "Can we start the puzzle now?" But he said that, "It's not a puzzle, it's a story. Don't any of you want to know why you're in the cave?" One of the players, visibly frustrated, stammered, "Because the cave is part of the puzzle. Can we play the puzzle now?" By that point, 20 minutes in, and not getting what they needed, 2 of the players were shaking with frustration. The DM finally noticed this and started the scenario. "You're in a cave underneath a lake. There are several small cracks in the ceiling, and small drips of water coming through it." Which isn't what I had written. I had simply put, cave, height to ceiling, 20 feet. No mention of a lake. The players, for them, completely, naturally disregard any mention of the lake and the cracked ceiling. Battle commenced, and the wizard player casted Fireball, which is what he always does against a group of 3 or more enemies near each other, but away from the party, as he knows exactly what it does and what to expect. Namely, that at least one enemy piece is going to be taken off the board. The DM says, "The explosion takes out 2 of the bugbears, but the cracks in the ceiling rupture and flood the cave. Everyone roll strength or be swept away in the rushing water." And that's when the wizard player broke down. This was enough to send him into a full-blown episode. He threw himself onto the floor, smacking himself in the face and ripping his hair, all while screaming, "That's not the puzzle," over and over. He kicked the table over in his distress and the pieces flew everywhere, setting off a second player who had a huge panic attack, seeing his game be ruined. The carers had to step in and escort them all to calm them all down, ending the session there. I then got a very tense phone call from their home manager, explaining what had transpired, and I was horrified. How could someone who knows these guys and knows what their needs are possibly think that messing with their game will be anything other than a colossal disaster? The home they live in are now considering finding a new day center for them to go to, and this idiot DM has been suspended, pending an internal review. And my relationship with these people has been damaged in the process. It's going to take a lot of work on my part to repair it. And I'm furious with myself as much as anything else for thinking I could trust someone else. Thankfully, the home allowed me to visit them and apologize. And they all accepted. Which, believe me, they wouldn't accept an apology unless they actually meant it. Well guys, one of the things I can say here is, don't be a substitute GM if you aren't going to follow the previous DM's notes. Especially in this case where you should have enough knowledge that throwing them curveballs like the whole cave collapsing on them would not be okay. And overall it just kinda sucks how this one guy nearly screwed up something for both these people and the OP. But it seems like everything will be okay on that end, with the OP still being able to give these guys a D&D game every so often. But that's the end of the story. Let me know what you guys think about this guy and the events that transpired. I for one think that he probably meant well, but didn't really think too clearly on it. But, as always, have a good one.